Hey, everybody, welcome. I appreciate you being here tonight to talk a little bit about emotional intelligence and also how to work with our anxiety and actually bring about some true change so that anxiety doesn't have such a big, powerful sway over you. Is kind of where I'm going with this one. So, my name is Eddie Grassi. I'm a life coach in San Francisco. I work with careers, and I also do a bit on relationships too. Actually, both of them are really important to my practice. And anxiety is one thing that comes up a lot, and you might not think it does in terms of relationships, but it does a lot. It's kind of everywhere. And I think it's something like 30% of the population has an issue with anxiety, such that it's more than it needs to be. So I would just start off by saying then I'm going to give a few words about anxiety, some of my own thoughts, some of the stuff I've been reading, some of the things that are on my mind, and try to get that across to you so that you can kind of get a better understanding of really what is anxiety, what does it feel like, how do you know you have it, what can you do about it. And then toward the end, I want to lead a small meditative mindfulness practice that you can do, which is going to help you mitigate and deal more effectively with anxiety when it comes up for you. So I'm going to go and buy some notes, but I'm going to try to appear as if I'm talking without reading them. First thing I want to talk about is something that is more of a misconception about anxiety. When we hear it, it's sort of like a bad thing. Oh, so and so has anxiety, or I'm feeling anxious. And what we do is we get accustomed to this thought process or idea that anxiety is a bad thing. Let me just set the record straight. Anxiety is an emotion that we were born with and that we have because we need it. So what we're talking about with anxiety is tonight is more the kind that is the bad anxiety, the kind that will overtake you and leave you feeling exhausted, and it's unpleasant and it's not helpful. So bad anxiety, I just call it to mean all those different things. The two are very different. Good anxiety is kind of like good cholesterol. And bad anxiety is kind of cholesterol that, plugs up your arteries and your veins and your heart and can cause major problems, okay, if it's not contained and if it happens too frequently. So one thing to understand tonight, if you don't get anything else across, is that it's okay to have anxiety and it's in fact necessary. So without anxiety, we wouldn't have any fear really of the future. We wouldn't be able to kind of mobilize ourselves to address issues that are problematic and actually dangerous. So with that said, it's just good to know the difference between the two. And I want to just talk a little bit about what I mean by this bad type of anxiety, so you can kind of really make a distinction and understand it later on your own. Bad type of anxiety is the kind that will overwhelm you on the spot when you need to be paying full attention to your surroundings and alert and in control and grounded and aware of just, what everything is going on around you. Last week, I talked a bit about the wheel of awareness. There's many different things we need to pay attention to, and our mind doesn't always have access to these things. All our senses sometimes can be overrun very easily. All you need to do is just think back to the time when you were anxious and when someone asked you, what did you think about that movie? Or what did you think about what the character on the TV just said? Or how did you like that song? If you were anxious at that time, you're like, what song? What do you mean? Wait, what movie are we doing? Because you're not aware and paying attention. You don't have any access because you have been hijacked. And it's not really our fault. That's the negative brain part of ourselves that's left over from the dinosaur days. It's like the Paleolimbic paleolimbic system, I believe. And it's a small part of our brain, but it's responsible for alerting us to danger so that we can survive. So we have this basic instinct within us to survive. And the irony, the real weird, funny irony to me, is that when anxiety comes up, it's not that when it surfaces, it's suddenly bad. It's the progression and evolution from second to minute that can change it from being a signal to I need to do something and take action to something that just spins out of control and overwhelms you. So we have that tendency within ourselves, but the problem with it is that anxiety is not just unhelpful, it's also very unhealthy. Because what's happening is cortisol and dopamine, adrenaline, they're all flowing through us when anxiety comes up. But if we stay in that space of anxiety and we listen to it, the thoughts that are driving the anxiety, it can keep us rigid and it can make us very inflexible so that we can't deal with a very challenging testing moment effectively. And then secondly, long-term wise, it takes you about 30 minutes at least to get and drain and detoxify all those bad chemicals. We're not supposed to have those things running through our blood except for in the event of danger and survival. And so over history, we now understand that back then during the dinosaur age and cavemen and all that, it was necessary. But even during those times, people were at rest and at ease, guard down, much, much more than they were alert. Okay, so the natural state of humans was to be in a calm and serene, stable world and environment. Because if you aren't, you're gonna just collapse if you're always on the go, always, stricken by anxiety. So just understand that even though we have this part of us, our natural state, our homeostasis is actually built so that we can sustain life for the long term. And that means not having these powerful chemical releases happening too often or too long. So anyway, just want to say that. A couple other points I want to make about it. And there's this idea here, and here's where things can get hopeful and I think positive. Because I'm not here to talk about how bad this is. I'm here to talk about what can you do, because it's very treatable and even curable. One of the things you can do, in addition to mindfulness practices, is think when something comes up, think of yourself or actively, proactively be more involved with the agency of causation. That's a big kind of concept, but what I mean by that is that when you can't change the effect or the outcome, but you can influence it. So you can influence and change the way and something may unfold if you can have the wherewithal, the awareness to actually do things in your own and take actions to change things. So let me just give you an example of that. Being an agent of change or having agency is to be able to kind of stand back a little bit from something that might be potentially harmful or dangerous, or it could be dangerous to your physical being, but also emotionally. Let's just talk about, for instance, well, there's two things that come to mind. One of them is performance anxiety. And we can look at the example of just driving a car, or it could be taking a test, or it may be the performance that you're expected to do on your job. It could be talking in front of other people. It could be presenting something. It could be the performance expected of you from a peer or a friend, actually, and what they are expecting of you. Well, it turns out that um, you could worry about the effects, okay, of that person and their judgment, or the driving conditions, that you're driving through a storm, or the test, maybe not studying hard enough. Those kinds of things, worrying about the future, actually make you less prepared. It's pretty common sense and logical. But what happens is we end up getting so caught up in what we hope will not happen, the insecurity of failure, that we come to actually fear our own anxiety more than the actual outcome or results of the thing which we fear. So, for example, there's been a storm going around here, in the North Bay area where I'm here in San Francisco, and South Bay Peninsula and so forth. It's brought a lot of rainfall, winds, and power outages and things are expected. If we are an agent, okay, if we're practicing this thing called agency, we're on the good side. We're on the side of preparedness and doing things we can to make sure we're safe. Things like not driving in pouring rain, or if you have to, driving slow, making sure you have a phone number to talk to someone in case of an emergency, making sure you know where the matches are if your electricity goes out. That's all doing things you can to affect the outcome so that it's in your favor and nothing goes wrong. Okay, so having said that, I will just say most of the anxiety I think that I come across when I'm talking to people who are facing or confronting where they're thinking about it always, it's more about what do you do when you're right in it? Like, what if you're already in it and you've already kind of elevated yourself, and the adrenaline and so forth is all coursing through you, and you're kind of going helter skelter and things are chaotic? Well, the first thing I'll say about that is that maybe you didn't take enough time to do the part of being on the side of agency, which means influencing the causes to make things change. The other part about it is maybe thinking that you have no control over what happens. And that's true, but you do have control, and this is important. You do have control over your response to it. Okay. So many of us don't understand that word response. We think of, and I am guilty too, we think of something happening, and then we react to it. And we're like, someone pushed my buttons. And let's just say you're having a pleasant talk with someone, and they mention something, or they fail to mention something. Maybe it's your birthday or something, and they don't bring it up. Okay. Well, that can actually be a stressful event. And it can cause you to have anxiety over this. Perhaps the next time when you want to talk to that person, you're not sure if you should bring it up. Where I'm going with this is that we think that other people and things around us push our buttons. And by buttons, I mean the stress panic button. Okay. And there are people that we truly believe that if they knew where our angry button was, or our stressed out button was, that they would be pressing it. Okay, so I don't want to sound insensitive here, but that's actually not true. The real person is you. So only you are capable of making yourself react the way you react. Nobody else is pressing any button. We say this phrase all the time: stop pressing my buttons. Stop doing this. There is something called aggravation and intentional, harassment and that kind of thing. That's a little different. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone being in a very kind or peaceful state, and then suddenly someone just laughs at you, and you're like, there's no reason or cause for that. It's upsetting. And now you're getting angry and like you're pissed at them. Well, guess what? You may think they press your button, but you're reacting. You press the panic or the angry button. So I just want to say what I'm going to say tonight, and we're going to do tonight here in a few minutes, is something called mindfulness. And mindfulness is a way to actually control it's actually a way to find the buttons that really can be pressed and have a negative effect on us. It's about also knowing where to find the pause button, okay, which we have, and getting some practice around pausing things when we are feeling like or sensing we are getting heated up or stressed. There is a way to actually train yourself to be able to actually regulate your emotions and breathe and feel in control. And I would just make this last part this here. I have an analogy. So our conditioning has set us up so that we um, are we are sometimes made to feel that we don't have this control, that it was lost. And to find it, it takes an incredible amount of energy, and it's just not worth it. The same is true with other emotions like anger. What I'm trying to say is we do have a remote control, and it is ourselves. We actually are the remote control. We do have a switch, and we can hit pause. And I just want to say that that's not just, talk. We actually can control and turn off and turn on, or mute or silence or slow down whatever we're feeling or thinking, so that we can better manage our way through a time that is causing or provoking us to feel very anxious. We don't have to get that wound up. We can press that slow button. Okay. So I'm just going to transition over now to doing the mindfulness practice. And what I'm going to leave you with is this idea that you can press a mute button or a slowing down or a silencing button on yourself and the thoughts that give rise to the anxiety. Okay. So it's the thoughts, because anxiety is all future, right? It's all about the fear of the unknown and the uncertain. We can actually slow down and mute that and find a setting within ourselves to do that confidently and consistently, using practices like the one I'm about to teach you. Now, this is not the only one. And I just want to make a disclaimer a little bit here, and that is that mindfulness meditation, it's not for everyone. Not everyone may know it. It may be something new. It may be even scary. It is one way to deal with anxiety, but not the only way. However, I do feel it is probably the most effective way, based on the research, for like mindfulness stress-based reduction. Is a popular term now these days that was coined. And it is a powerful evidence-based way that you can actually reduce anxiety, and not only that, have healthy healthy physical health as well. So let's just move on to that. I wanted to give some background. I kind of spent a lot of time doing it, as I usually like to do, talk too much about theory, but let's get to the practice itself. So I just need to get out of that kind of thinking mode, and perhaps you do as well, and kind of get a little bit more in touch with your body and your senses. So we're going to slow down, and we are going to gently start to realize and be aware of our breath as it goes in and out. You can close your eyes gently if you feel comfortable doing this. You don't need to, but it's more helpful doing it with your eyes closed because less distractions. And just see if you can kind of center yourself, feel the weight of your body on the seat or wherever you are. Make yourself feel a little comfortable. This is an exercise that I hope to do within 5 minutes. That's my goal. We'll see. It's more designed for a 15-minute session, but I already spoke so much, so it's probably going to have to be the fast version. So we're breathing. Let's take in 3 breaths. I'm going to kind of close my eyes a little bit too to help myself concentrate. And 2 more, 1 in and 1 out. Another 1 in and another 1 out. So the name of this exercise, if you would just keep your eyes closed, is called Leaves on a Stream. Leaves on a Stream. So I'm just going to go through the steps. So I'd like you to try your best to try to follow it, but don't pressure yourself. Try to relax a bit. Just gently close your eyes and feel and direct your attention to your breathing, the air coming in and out of your nostrils, your lungs, your stomach as you inhale and as you exhale. So just feel this release of tension as you let the air slowly out. So now I want you to imagine, and it's easier if you do this with your eyes closed. Imagine you're sitting at the side of a gently flowing stream. And in your mind, try to create this stream. What does it look like? You're going to feel a light breeze blowing as you sit there, some light glistening off the water in your mind's eye, and some green grass below and around you. Imagine the stream, though, however you like. It is your imagination. Now, imagine that there are leaves floating on the surface of the stream. And these leaves are gently flowing past you down the stream. For the next few minutes, I want you to try to take every thought that comes up in your head, or every feeling or association with something, even an image or picture, and I want you to actually place it on the leaf. Now, your thoughts may show up in your mind in the form of words. They could be, as I said before, pictures or something else. Whatever arises, though, is okay. Just try to put it on the leaf and let it float by. And you can do this regardless of whether the thoughts are positive or enjoyable. So even if you have a good sensation, we want to just let go of it and place it on the leaf and let it just float down the stream where the other leaves are all heading. And in doing this, when you do this for longer sessions, you may notice that your thoughts stop. And that's fine too. Just continue to watch the stream. There may be like nothing coming into your head. But don't worry, those thoughts, they will come back in time. Unless you are a very good Buddha and know how to deal with these thoughts. So keep allowing that stream to flow at its own rate, and there's no need to try to speed it up. The aim here is not to wash away the leaves and get rid of them. Rather, it's to allow them to come and go in their own way. So we just sit and watch. Let's do that for 20 seconds in our mind. So we're watching those leaves drift by, maybe placing a thought here. Maybe the thought is, when is this going to end? Maybe the thought is, you might have an uncomfortable position or something that you need to do. Or maybe it's yesterday or tomorrow. If your mind starts saying things like, I can't do it, or, this is a joke, or it's stupid, you want to just try to place those thoughts on the leaves the same as the other thoughts. And if a leaf gets stuck, let it hang around. What does it mean if it gets stuck? It means if you are stuck on an idea and it doesn't seem to be working, that you can place it on the leaf, then again, try to allow it to just be in your awareness. Just simply observe it. And when it's ready, it will eventually float away, and another leaf will come along and nudge it if it doesn't. Okay, I'm at the last part here. If difficult feelings arise, such as boredom or impatience or anxiety, just again, simply try to acknowledge it. Say to yourself, here's a feeling of boredom. Here's a feeling of impatience. Or here's a feeling of anxiety. And place those words or thoughts, whatever it is, on the leaf. From time to time, your thoughts will hook you and you will lose track of the exercise. This is normal as your attention does wander and will happen from time to time. But as soon as you realize this happening, just try to come back to that stream, continuing to place each thought that pops into your mind on the leaf, watching it slip by. Again and again, your thoughts will hook you. And just remember, this is normal. And as you notice this, as it happens, just simply, again, come back to that stream. Now, as the exercise comes to a close here, I just want you to begin to let go of your imagined stream and bring your attention back to where you are. Just notice that you can hear, you can see, you can feel all that is around you. You can open up your eyes and just notice, again, what's around you. I'm kind of looking around here, noticing things. So that concludes the exercise here. And in practicing this, it's not always going to work the way that it's intended to work. Those thoughts could hang around. You could feel disappointed with the exercise, maybe feel it's ineffective. Perhaps it's just too long of a time to sit. Those are all thoughts, again, that come up. But the thing is that this exercise, what I want to just leave you with is this last thing, that mindfulness meditation and bringing awareness to the present moment is going to slowly work. I used to believe that you had to do mindfulness when you're actually in the chaos, like with everything happening around you. But that's not really what I understand now. The mindfulness will actually arise within you, magically it would almost feel, due to the practicing. And the practicing leads to the rewiring and the reconditioning of your body, your thoughts, your mind, everything. So that one day, after many times practicing this, you may, at a golf range or at a baseball plate or at a volleyball net or at a tennis court, you may actually feel more like you can do and accomplish anything you want. That's called being at your best. Some people call it the zone, and it's about awareness and intention. So I hope that helps you. It's been a long talk here. I get to edit this and I get to put it up there on the internet for anyone who wants to see it again. Appreciate you guys coming tonight, being here. Spread the word. I love to hear and see more people. But this is just the beginning, and I'm doing now 3 more parts to this 7-part series on anxiety. So I'm running this probably every Thursday at 8 p.m. like tonight. So feel free to tune in. If anyone's interested too, they can leave a message down there in the description below the video. So again, thank you and peace out, everybody. Good night.